The last time we chose Sussex in our LV Game of the Week, Ollie Robinson made 100 in his debut first-class innings. This time, as we took our manned camera to the Brighton and Hove Jobs.com county ground for the visit of Warwickshire, he was to star with the ball. That after Varun Chopra and Ian Westwood had opened up with a stand of 35 in 14 overs. After Chopra had won the toss and batted, it was one that was hardly devoid of incident. Robinson was handed the ball in the 11th over, and with his 14th delivery, he had Westwood, now the First Division's second highest run scorer this year, out for 13. Well held by Steve McGoffin off a top-edge pull, the batsman trying to score some runs when the opportunity arose. The batsman crossed and Robinson then finished off his third over by also removing Chopra for 16. Chris Jordan back with his county, taking the kind of chance he could probably catch with his eyes closed. Robinson went without any more success for 3 overs, but in the 7th of his spell he found the edge of Atiq Javid's bat to see his first innings of the summer end with 2 runs to his name. The movement off the pitch had squared the batsman up. Warwickshire, convincing winners of their last 2 matches, then slipped to 76 for 4 as Robinson struck again in his 9th over. Laurie Evans on 6, also nicking off. Before next ball, it was a fifer for the first time in his career for the 21-year-old, who's played at second team level for Hampshire, Kent and Yorkshire before getting his break with Sussex. Tim Ambrose on his way for a golden duck. Robinson was understandably cock-a-hoop. He delivered a fantastic few overs to quickly put his side in charge. It was undoubtedly Robinson's session. He headed to lunch with figures of 9 overs, 3 maidens, 5 for 17. Jonathan Trott about the only reason Warwickshire were able to get to lunch with a score of 80 for 5 on the board. Not everything he hit came off the middle either. Incredibly, it was 6 out of 6 for the bowler as he struck yet again with his 11th ball after the break. Ricky Clark giving Harry Finch some catching practice in the slips. The Warwickshire batsman simply unable to cope with this bowler who was troubling every single one of them. There were murmurs of a possible 10 for Robinson until the next over when Trott bottom-edged a ball from Jordan back onto his stumps to go for 35. A wicket which left Warwickshire in real trouble on 100 for 7. The decision to bat first in these conditions by the sea, backfiring somewhat on Chopra. Ed Joyce must have had to grab the ball from Robinson, who came off with his figures now reading 13 overs, 4 maidens, 6 for 33. He must have been tiring after that wonderful effort, which needless to say, gave him the best figures of his career. Jordan, meanwhile, was now getting the ball to almost swing round corners. Robinson was not given the opportunity to add any more wickets to his tally, in spite of Keith Parker and Jitan Patel adding an important partnership of 59 for the 8th wicket. McGoffin finished off the innings with 3 wickets in successive overs. Patel edged the Australian behind after making 16. Barker had helped himself to 24 before he couldn't keep on top of this ball from McGoffin. Craig Kachopa clinging on at point to end an innings which was beginning to show some promise. Then last man Boyd Rankin had his middle stump knocked out of the ground. It had taken Sussex only about half the day to put themselves on top in this game, with Warwickshire all out for 180. Robinson 6 for 33 being added to by McGoffin's 3 for 45. The home team would have been mindful though of just how much the ball had moved both off the pitch and through the air at times. Sussex won their first 2 games of this championship summer before back-to-back losses at Durham and at home to Middlesex. They were looking in a much better position here as Luke Wells and Chris Nash knocked off 46 of the runs in the first 15 overs of their reply. Nash had made 17 of them when he gave Clark a wicket in his second over. Chopra, a man who rarely makes mistakes at first slip. As ever, Rankin was held back by his captain. When he did come on, Wells attacked him at 6 off a no ball, coming just a couple of deliveries after this boundary, which now had the left-hander as the leading run scorer of the day. Indeed, Wells' knock stood out from the rest on another day at Hove, which was dominated by the bowlers. The 12th wicket of the day to fall was that of Joyce, who'd made 9 when he edged the delivery from Barker, which spat at him. It was now 75 for 2. Wells must be congratulated then for his efforts with the bat. This single off Barker took him to his 50 off 85 balls. He struck 8 fours and 1 6 in that, and it was an innings which was keeping his side in the box seat. If he could find anyone to stick with him, then Sussex would be delighted with their day's work come the end. Finch had just begun to find his feet in what was only the 5th first-class innings of his career. He just hit Patel for 2 boundaries when he was defeated by a ball which spun back sharply to knock back his middle stump on 12. So it seemed that this pitch was going to offer help to these spinners as well on the first day, which may mean a 4-day game here is unlikely. Luke Wright came down the wicket before he'd scored, only to be stumped at the second attempt by Ambrose. And it was 3 for the Kiwi in his first 5 overs when Kachopa edged to Clark after making just a couple. Patel dragging his side back into this game on a day in which in the end 15 wickets fell. None of those included Wells, who was to bat through the 41 overs Sussex had in making 73 from 133 balls. Ben Brown with him until the end. Thanks to Wells, Sussex should be able to muster a decent first innings lead. They will begin the second morning on 140 for 5, and that has them only 40 runs behind in a game which has already moved on very quickly. More bowlers will no doubt be licking their lips at the prospect of turning their arms over on this friendly surface, for them at any rate.